Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All Too Real 2. My name is Michael E. Cohen II, and with me, as always,
is Sesame. This is the season to be jolly in Carta.
Is that one word in the middle there, or is it?
No, it's actually separate.
Okay.
Separate words, which means I gotta pay for each individual word.
I was gonna say, do they charge you by the letter or the word?
Do actually? Well, I think they charge you by the word. I don't know. And then but either way, I had to pay extra. But
which reminds me, folks, donate to our Patreon and check out our TeePublic.
Yeah. I change the name every week, and it costs money.
It's costing Matt. So. I mean, sorry, I almost called you Matt because I'm dead naming you here, and
dead naming me. Yes. Wow.
Sorry, there, Sesame. Sesame, I forgot your middle name in Carta, and
Wow.
So he's paying so much every week. You just gotta give us some money here.
I'm going bankrupt here. I mean,
make sure you share the show with your friends and check out our social media. I mean, we have Twitter right now. I don't know how much longer, but
well, yeah, exactly. How much Twitter's
I mean, the Twitter's not associated with the. I don't know if we have one for the actual podcast, but we do have a Cullen Park one. So
I think it's a good idea to just delete the accounts, because who knows what's going to happen with like spies and shit like that and bots and all,
And the whole thing's like sinking like the Titanic right now. Anyways,
it's hilarious.
But
I love this. And like every day when something new comes out, I just get so happy to read about it or hear about it.
It's not gonna be around much long.
Oh, it's like the elongated man, except for he's not really being elongated.
So, Sesame, I got a question for you.
Yeah, sure. What's up?
Yeah, have you ever in your life thought, hey, I want to see a Christmas movie directed by a guy that used to direct Blink-182 music videos?
Wait, he used to direct Blink?
Yes.
When?
Some of the earliest Blink-182, Darren, Doane, the director, co-writer, and star of this movie.
Wait, the dude in the car?
Yeah, the guy that played Christian White.
No way. So he used. I didn't know. I didn't know he was a director of the movie too. I thought he was.
Yeah,
just an actor.
Yeah. He directed the videos. He directed videos for Blink-182 and Pennywise.
Anyway, Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
Wow.
He did Blink-182's Eminem's music video.
I don't know that one. But
I don't know either. He did Damn It.
Okay, I know that one.
Josie.
Nope. Okay.
Yeah, that's another one of their popular songs. So yeah, those. Yeah.
I mean, I was never a huge Blink-182.
Me either, but I know those two songs.
I know Damn It, the first record, and I know Take Off Your Pants and Jacket.
Yeah.
Double pun or whatever, and then
yeah,
just a pun.
Yeah, he directed those. He directed the music video for Jason Mraz's "I'm Yours." And
okay, so all right, that's
Buck Cherries Don't Go Away. Kid Rock Redneck Paradise album version music video.
Amazing.
Yes.
How many other music videos did he direct?
He's did music video, like they did with Jason Mraz. He did Blink-182 and Pennywise. He's directed at least like 20, I think, here. But mostly just Pennywise, Blink-182, Jason Mraz, and that Kid Rock one.
Right.
And
So was this like before he became a Christian, or is this still during the
I
time? Or
do not know. Probably before.
I'm just wondering, just
Yeah.
because those are not Christian bands,
I
and
mean, maybe
I'm not saying,
the Kid Rock era he was, but I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
conservative, but I was just wondering because it depends on. I mean, I'm not saying that just because you're a Christian that
Yeah,
you
because
can't
like
direct secular music videos, but
so
his type.
according to his IMDb here, he directed the Kid Rock music video in 2013. That was a year before this movie came out.
Yeah, okay.
But he did in 2018 direct a music video for Jason Mraz featuring Meghan Trainor, More Than Friends, which was
So
after this
maybe
came.
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was gonna say that was after this came out. So
So maybe he was just like an actor in the movie. Maybe he doesn't even.
no, I looked him up.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
because he co-wrote this, by the way.
Oh, I see.
And
Okay.
he also now currently has hosted previous podcasts, and he also hosts another podcast, the Doane Cast, which is like a
Oh.
yeah, that's his last name. It's like a ultra conservative Christian based podcast.
Okay.
And then he was
Gotcha.
also a guest on another episode of a podcast, which I found, which was the Chocolate Knox something, I don't know, podcast, but Chocolate Knox is the stage name or whatever of the guy who played Diondre.
Which is one of the I hated that character so much.
Yes, we'll get into that. But
We'll
anyways,
get that whole.
I just had to point out the fact that this guy used to direct Blink-182 music
That's
videos.
hilarious, though.
Yeah.
It's plus too, like the dude from Blink-182 is like obsessed with UFOs and stuff now.
Yeah.
Which is like part of the conspiracy theory sort of milieu or whatever.
But the thing is, by the way, we are covering Saving Christmas, which is also known as Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas.
That's
yes.
That's the fault.
Yeah.
Of course. He's saving Christmas. Kirk
Yes.
Cameron is saving Christmas. Yeah.
And this was a film, like I said, directed by Darren Doane, who also starred in it, and he co-wrote it with Cheston Hervey. Cheston.
Okay.
I've never heard that first name before in my life.
That's a new one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually I kind of like it actually.
Yeah, I do too. It's like combining Charlton and Heston together, and you got Cheston.
Charlton Heston. Well, I think during the context of this movie, but not appropriate. But
yeah,
I might name my first son if I have a son, Cheston, and then if my son, becomes transgender or whatever, I'll change the name, whatever. Then but
so like Cheston and Carta.
Don't want to get woke here, God forbid that you might actually consider the fact that your child might be transgender in the future or whatever, but you're not allowed to say that. It's too woke. You gotta be gruff and tough and man up. Anyway, sorry.
So this is an award-winning film.
Really?
Yes. It was nominated for 6 Golden Raspberry Awards and won 4 of them.
Okay.
Yeah, it won Worst Picture, Worst Actor for Kirk Cameron.
Really? I don't think he was that bad of an actor.
But yeah, he won. Worst Director was nomination. Also, Worst Supporting Actress, which was Bridgette, was nominated. That's Kirk's sister.
Yeah, she didn't really have.
Yeah. It did win Worst Screenplay by Darren Doane and Cheston Harvey, and Worst Screen Combo, Kirk Cameron and His Ego.
Yeah. The thing is, I didn't really think the screenplay was actually that bad as far as the content was stupid, obviously, but I mean, like, I don't know, like their conversation, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but the conversation in their car, sounded somewhat natural to me.
Well, I think a lot of it was improvised.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It seemed like it to me. How much would you guess that this film cost to make?
I don't know. See,
just by aesthetics.
Okay, I'm just going by aesthetic. The cinematography looked pretty decent. As far as like the actual film itself, how it looked. Like, audio was pretty good. Like when they had like scenes like looking into like the past or whatever, that looked pretty decent. So I'm thinking on cinematography alone, I'm thinking like maybe a couple $100,000.
It cost $500,000 to make this movie.
So the whole movie cost.
So
okay.
I'm going to disagree with you on the cinematography. Just
okay.
With all due respect, there are a lot of things with the amount of money that they had could have looked a lot better.
It just looked clean to me.
It was clean, but I mean, it was a good digital camera. They had a good camera.
Okay.
But the actual movement of the camera and the lighting at times was very lacking. But the thing is when you have a good digital camera, a lot of that can be made up for by that fact. But it had that, it's definitely digital video look to it. It doesn't look cinematic. It also has there's a lot of times where there's a lot of shots that were very handheld. A lot of the shots were out of focus when they shouldn't have been. There's things where they could have used a dolly or a gimbal for that they could have afforded with $500,000.
Right, they got that huge. I guess I was basing it more on the and the like them just sitting in the car, which obviously is not that hard.
So. Yeah, that honestly, that's those scenes in that car. Just based on the way that they shot it and the way that it looked, if you put the camera cost into that, like the amount of money for the cameras and the lights and stuff, I could shoot something that looked better for that. If you gave me the money for, I don't know, give me like probably about $1,000.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of understand what you're saying about like how it looked like in the actual house party itself, of how some of it did look a little bit choppy now that I kind of think about it.
And there are even scenes where you can see the other camera that they were using.
Oh really? I wasn't paying. I didn't notice that.
And as far as editing goes, the editing is horrible.
Yeah.
There's actually literally one scene. I can't remember when it is, but where Kirk is in the car, and then they cut back into the house, and he's in the house.
Oh my God.
In the background, they used a horrible. They used the wrong shot. Yeah.
I didn't notice that. That's hilarious.
So,
well, it's Kirk Cameron, so
yeah.
For him, the content of the movie was much more important than the actual movie itself, which is basically one long sermon. But
so I know we kind of went over it, but what's your initial thoughts here?
I hated it, but for not the reasons that normally someone might hate a movie for. So, like again, like I thought them in the car looked kind of decent. Their conversation, sounded kind of like like an actual authentic conversation. Because like I've had conversations with like conservative Christians who like try to like convert me like at the park or whatever, and like they say the same kind of like talking points that like Kirk Cameron is saying. Not all of them, but similar. And and I would kind of be the other guy. Like I didn't act like as goofy as this guy was acting, but I would be like, all right, well, show me where Santa Claus is in the Bible, or show me where the Christmas tree is, and all this kind of stuff. So like I've actually had like similar conversations to what they were saying.
I think we all have.
Course, I wasn't saying it to bash Christmas. I was just saying like, hey, you yourself practice traditions that don't actually really originate in the Bible, so it's like you don't really have a leg to stand on by talking about other people, kind of thing. But I hated it because it Okay, so like it kind of reminded me of, this is a weird example. It kind of reminded me of like a religious version of Freddy Got Fingered. And I actually like Freddy Got Fingered. I know it's like not popular to like that movie.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. But like Freddy Got Fingered is just like basically just like random scenes that don't really have anything to do with each other, and then that's the whole movie. This felt kind of like that, where it was just like scenes that could have been in different movies, just all put into one movie is what it felt like to me. And it was like there was no like continuity or anything like that to it. It was just like random stuff that was just like them trying to fill the time. By the way, the movie's only 79 minutes long, and 9 of those minutes are outtakes. And the first 8 minutes are Kirk Cameron's monologue in the beginning of the movie, plus the intro, and then
the 3 opening credits.
The 3 opening credits, yes, and which is kind of excessive, but and then the bulk of the movie is actually just them 2 talking in the car, and then there's like historical scene or well, ahistorical scenes really, but whatever.
Yeah.
From what they consider to be historical Christian scenes, like, you know, from the past, while he's telling, you know, while he's delivering the sermon in the car. So like really the bulk of the movie is really just Kirk Cameron just preaching to this guy, and that's the whole movie. And then there's weird little things like interspersed throughout the movie. So that's why I hated it, is that it was just didn't feel like a movie. It just felt like random scenes thrown together and put a ribbon on it, metaphorically, and there you go.
See, I found not one single redeeming quality in this film, and I will honestly say this is definitely one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And that's just disregarding all of the historical and religious, fantasy that Kirk Cameron came up with in his head.
Well, he did come up with it. He learned this from his mentor, who brainwashed him to all this. I forgot his name, but he was like a big Hollywood guy that would try to convert actors to his weird.
Is this who converted him back when he was 17, or?
I think, was that how old he was when he converted?
Yeah, back when he was on. When it was during his like 2nd or 3rd season of Growing Pains.
Yeah, he kind of. I forgot his name, but his whole thing is that he's kind of like the Christian version of like Scientology. Like he tries to convert actors to like, or famous people to, you know, evangelical Christianity in order to like, you know, make it popular, kind of, you know, like, oh, John Travolta is a Scientologist, or Tom Cruise is a Scientologist, you know, that kind of thing. Just a Christian version of that, you know. Then again, Kirk Cameron. Was he really? I mean, like, I was kind of a little kid when Growing Pains was on. So was he really deemed like that famous at that time, or was he just kind of like, he was? Okay.
He was like, I mean, I'd call him like, I'm trying to think of like I don't know if he's like the Timothy Chalamet of his time, but he's kind of like a I don't know, maybe like, you know, when Zac Efron was hot with High School Musical and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And on every, you know, because back then it was magazines. Like at the time, like Kirk Cameron was, you know, like on the cover of, you know, all the teeny bopper magazines and stuff, you know, like like Tiger Beat and all that stuff, you know. Yeah, he was probably like, he was the it guy. And back then there was like a pretty much of a distinction between television and movie actors, but still he even crossed over. I mean, he had done some movies and stuff, like one of them I actually really like is like Father Like Son.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah.
That one, yeah, that was pretty cool.
With Dudley Moore. Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that one. That was neat.
Yeah. But yeah, he was, you know, he was the it thing, and basically, honestly, not to, you know, say anything bad about somebody becoming Christian, but when he became Christian, it killed his career.
Well, it's because
it's because of his choices, like to not do certain things and everything. But he also, you know, it's like he got a woman fired from his show because from the show because he was going to refuse to do the show if she stayed on the show because she had done Playboy in the past.
Oh, really? See, I remember reading that there was a scene where he was supposed to kiss someone and he didn't want to do that because
that too. It was the same actress.
Oh, it was?
Yeah,
Okay.
he ended up getting her fired from the show.
Oh,
Julie
that's
McCullough.
wow.
Yeah, he yeah, and then he basically, he fell for his now wife and brought her in as his girlfriend on the show now after that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, like, on a related note, is that article you sent me about the other Cameron, is that like his sister?
Oh, yeah.
She looked like him. Okay.
Yeah. So, Candace Cameron. Right. Candace Cameron Bure is his younger sister. Who
then he probably she used to be
on. She was on Full House and everything. Yeah,
right.
So,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he probably converted her then to evangelical Christianity. So they're both terrible people now. But anyway.
Yeah.
But, sorry, you don't mean to be rude, but.
Yeah, I mean, there's a thing. I mean, they're both entitled to their own opinions and stuff. It's just the problem where people think that, where like right now, for example, the issue that's going on with Candace is how she said that she moved away from Hallmark Network to this GAC or whatever network to do her Christmas movies that she does because she wants to do things that are more about what was it? The
like traditional
family values,
and we know what that all means.
And it was something that the way she like basically emphasized it and everything that made it bad. I mean, no problem with her believing that. That's whatever she believes. That's fine. And if she wants to leave Hallmark and go do that, that's fine too. But she's got to realize there's going to be some kind of backlash, especially when they're doing the first. Gay Hallmark movie. Like, I mean, they've had gay characters in there, but this is the first like gay love story this year. Is right after she leaves, and stuff like that, and she's
right,
and she's been very outspoken, which I find really weird because she acted on Fuller House for years with a gay man. So because one of the actors on that show, I mean, it's just I don't know.
Well, maybe she made enough money from that, because conservative Christians.
Or maybe she was fine working with him because he had played Jesus in a miniseries, so it was okay.
Well, that might even be worse, though.
I
don't know. From there, how they think. But again, like conservative Christians are known to compromise their values when it's expedient to do so because they don't really have any morals. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But.
But this isn't about her because she's not in the movie. Her sister is.
No, she's not.
But
she's not.
Yeah. Her sister Bridgette is though.
Yeah. Oh, that's her sister. I mean, they're both.
Yeah, that's both their sister. Yeah, that's
all right.
Yeah.
So I think we're like trying really hard to not talk about the movie because
so let's jump in here. What? I mean, not a lot happens, but what happens here?
Yeah, exactly. Not a lot happens. So, again, we begin with like the 3 different beginning credits with like the multiple companies that funded this great film. And Liberty University, of course, funded a lot of it, and then which is Jerry Falwell's school that he created way back in the 80s or whatever, and then his son's now the leader of or was.
He's gone. Watch the documentary God Forbid on Hulu.
I will. Yeah,
free advertisement right there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I will watch it sometime. But so Kirk Cameron he starts the movie with like a monologue, basically talking about how much he loves Christmas, and he loves everything about it. He loves the trees, the presents, the lights, the hot chocolate, whatever. And then he goes into your
typical... but by the way, the hot chocolate, the mug was empty.
Oh, it was? Oh, wow.
It's obviously empty. There's no way he's drinking any hot chocolate. And then he says, are they going to tell us that it was made by pagans? And actually, it was made by Aztecs. So,
yeah, it's weird. So, yeah, he goes... I didn't realize that. Why would he... Whatever, fine. Maybe he would make him cough if he was drinking.
I don't. A lot of times in movies, people drink out of. Even big budget movies and TV shows, the cups are empty because it's just easier to deal with. But
okay, gotcha.
But it's all about how you act and actually hold the mug to make it seem like there's something in it, but he yeah,
he wasn't doing that. Wow.
No.
so he goes on this thing, and then predictably he goes into the the sort of evangelical conservative talking points about how he's like, on the one side we got people saying that like it's fine if you celebrate Christmas private, you take that stuff and you put it into the confines of your homes, and just don't spread it outward, don't make everyone see it, which again I've never heard any non-Christian ever say in my entire life that Christians should only celebrate Christmas in the confines of their home, at least in this country. Obviously in other countries like Saudi Arabia, where Islam is like the only religion that's allowed to be public. Okay, I get that, but like in America, really? Like, I'm sorry, Christmas is now a 2-month affair. It used to be a 1-day affair, then it became a 1-week affair, then it was a 1-month affair. Now it's a 2-month affair.
I mean, pretty soon it's like right after Halloween they start playing Christmas music on the radio.
So I don't know where he's getting this information from. It's obviously disinformation and a persecution complex that he's got, where like he's thinking like there's people out there trying to stop Christians from celebrating.
You mean this movie has disinformation in it?
Oh, there's tons of. That's why I printed out so many screenshots. I mean, I got a whole thing. And I wrote some notes. The whole movie. I mean, almost everything that's said in this movie is completely false historically. But anyway, well, actually, ironically, the stuff that the guy Christian is saying is actually historically true. But then Kirk Cameron, quote, contradicts him with false historical information. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of my. So then he goes into his whole thing where he's like, they don't want us to celebrate Christmas, in public, and they want us to be politically correct or whatever, which no one actually does ever. Like saying happy holidays doesn't mean that like Christmas is canceled. Like, and again, too, if you don't want to say happy holidays, you can say Merry Christmas. It just logically doesn't really make any sense to say Merry Christmas to someone who doesn't celebrate Christmas.
It's funny how the some of the same people who say that we shouldn't say Black Lives Matter and we should say All Lives Matter have a problem with saying Happy Holidays because it covers numerous holidays. It just doesn't make any sense.
There's overlap, yes, there is. So like my analogy was again like, that's like a Muslim, wishing a Buddhist, a happy Ramadan. Technically, you could say it. It just it's like, okay, I don't celebrate Ramadan, but thanks, I guess, for the greeting. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, go ahead, say it.
I mean, the chances that you're going to offend somebody or make them protest outside of your Starbucks or something isn't going to happen. You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck?
That's the thing, though, is that they desperately want that so bad. They want to be persecuted.
Yeah.
I wrote that in my notes. They, not all Christians, but a very big bulk of evangelical Christians, they like pray for persecution every day because like they want to be martyrs. They want to be like in the story of like the early Christian martyrs. Like, we're just like them. Like they wouldn't let us celebrate Christmas, and they persecuted us, and they made us practice within the confines of our homes, and then they wouldn't even let us do that. And like literally nobody cares. Nobody. Like even atheists don't give a shit. They're like, okay, practice Christmas, whatever. Like, but in their minds, there's like this monster out there who's like uprooting Christmas trees and like throwing them into bonfires, and it's like, you Christians never are allowed to practice Christmas ever again. They're like, well, we got Christ on our side and we're not gonna give in. And it's like, you guys, like, it reminds me of that Jordan Peterson meme where like he's setting up like all of these monsters, and then like he's like crawling on the floor in the fetal position. And it's like literally stuff of his own creation that he's like, anyway. So he goes on, and then he's like, but what's interesting about this movie is that there was a limited allotment of unorthodox interpretation of Christmas that I was surprised that Liberty University would actually sign off on because of how conservative they are. So like he's like, and the other camp is actually coming from within our side, like from within, who's saying that like we shouldn't celebrate Christmas at all because it comes from all these pagan traditions, and like both sides are wrong. So he's trying to do like the sort of synthesis of like which again is a cop out because it's like you're trying to have. I wrote down. Yeah, Liberty University and Cameron want to have their Christmas turkey and eat it too. Oh, that's so clever. But
well, it's like when the movie came out, probably just as many Christian review websites blasted this movie for being horrible.
It's terrible.
I mean, as like non-Christian or just or I don't know, traditional like movie review websites. It's just they
there's like a unifying force here.
Yeah.
About terrible.
I mean, Christians and atheists hated this movie just equally. It's like,
well, there you go. So they united. Yeah,
it brought them together.
They brought them together and that was just a monologue of him going on that, and the actual movie itself. Yeah, you want to go into what's going on in the actual actual movie.
Okay, so after our first like random framing sequence there at the beginning with him sitting by a fireplace not drinking hot chocolate that he claims is in his mug, so he's first lie right there. But we go to the main our main narrative. Okay, is we're at a Christmas party at I think his sister's house.
Yeah.
So Cameron's attending this. Kirk Cameron's attending this party, and he notices his brother-in-law, who is named Christian White.
Wow!
Not just Christian. His name is Christian White. You can do with that what you will.
That's their demographic right there.
Yeah.
They're just open about it.
Yeah. Because he's kind of like being like the little stick in the mud at the party. He's over not celebrating with the other guests, and so first off, before all this happens, we do have this random our black comic relief, played by David Shannon, who goes by what was it? Chocolate Knox in on his podcast, Chalk Knox or something like that. Yeah. Anyways, he plays a character named Diondre, who is over the top stereotypical African American. I'm not trying to it's like I mean, not trying to downplay it. I don't know if that's how the guy actually acts. I only watched a few minutes of one of his podcasts to see if he did, and he didn't really seem like that in that. Like he was doing this over the top character for the movie. So, anyways, he comes over, talks to our protagonist here, Christian, and he starts going on this like random, obviously just improvised speech about how they're taking away the fun shirt Fridays at work or something, and how it's like a conspiracy theory, and then and one point like he's talking, and I don't think he meant for this to sound like this, but he's saying he raises his fist and he's like straight power. I don't think he meant it like straight like.
Did he say that? I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, there's one line like he's just like he's going off. I noticed he's just going and like I think he just meant like straight power, not like straight people power, but like
I don't know. It might have been a subliminal thing.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was in there, and I'm just like, okay.
And the people who wrote this or
it's just random, but he's going off on this little conspiracy, and even the movie gets bored with him talking.
Right.
And the audio cuts out, and we just start hearing like music over it.
And Christian's just like staring at him.
Yeah.
Like not even really taking it in. Yeah, and I think at one point he said that this is that like I'm not allowed to say Merry Christmas anymore, which again is part what I mentioned earlier. And then and there, my people have had enough taken away from them, so I don't know if he meant black people or Christians or both. I don't know. And then because it's hard to tell with this movie of what anyone means. But
he probably didn't even know what he was talking about.
I don't think so either. I think this was like maybe he got like $50 to be in this movie. I don't know, but like and. I mean, I don't know. I'm not. Maybe he got paid more, but I doubt it was.
I'm pretty sure that most of the money for this movie went somewhere that we don't know. It's like
some shell corporation,
Christian mafia or something. I don't know.
Right, yeah, exactly. Our next research project is to figure out where the money went to this from this movie for the proceeds, which I don't imagine. I don't think
the box office for this movie was $2.8 million.
Come on, it was all Christians that saw it.
Yeah, so it made its money back. So it made a profit.
That's ridiculous. Oh my god, that's fucking ridiculous.
It made like 4, almost 5 times as much money. So it's just
wait, this actually came out in theaters?
Yeah.
No, this wasn't like a straight to DVD movie.
No, this was released into theaters.
Oh my god! So
it debuted. According to Wikipedia, it debuted on 410 screens on November 14th of 2014.
Oh my god!
On its first weekend, the film came in 15th place with ticket sales of $992,000 and $87. Sorry. With a per screen average of 2,420. In its 6-week run, it made up that 2.8 million.
It was all evangelical Christians, I guarantee you, who like basically pulled in their resources to make sure this movie made a profit. Oh my god.
So yeah, so we've got Diondre going on his little spiel, and then eventually. Kirk's like curious where Christian is, and he's over moping. So Christian ends up going outside and sits in his car. I'm just glad it wasn't in a garage and he was gonna kill himself with carbon monoxide or anything. But anyway, so the
that would have made the movie into a different turn altogether.
It would have actually gave the movie some gravitas. That's all I'm saying.
Wow.
If Kirk was actually going out there and saved Christian's life, I might have actually cared more about this movie. That's like
the stakes of the film. Like, we got to make sure he lives through this. That he has like some dream state of Christmas being good or something.
Yeah.
And wow.
See, it's already a better movie. So we basically we've got Christian is he's upset about the whole commercialization of and consumerism of Christmas, which he starts out with this little spiel where he talks about how there's like this little girl at the store who was crying because she couldn't get what she wanted, and I'm thinking about all the riches I have, and how maybe we should just not give gifts to people, and we should build ditches for water, or wells for water for people, and and donate money to shelters and all this other stuff, whatever he said. And then I thought, this guy's making sense. I mean, I agree. If you have the money, go ahead and donate it to charity and help out people and stuff. And I'm all good with that, But then Kirk Cameron tells him he's all wrong.
Right. Like, wait. Oh, okay.
Like, so he's wrong to want to help, villages get water and people not die from starvation and stuff.
No, I think he was just saying that like you could do both is what he was trying to.
Yeah, but the way he says it is like, nope, you're wrong.
Like, and that was such an awkward thing where he's like, that was such an awkward exchange too, because he's like, yeah, it's all wrong. The guy's like, yeah, exactly, it's all wrong. He gives him a fist bump. He's like, no, you're all wrong. And he's like, wait, what? He's like, well, what you just said, it's wrong. He's like, but I said a lot. He's like, yeah, I know it.
And it was all wrong. That's where it bothers me, is the fact that he says it's all wrong.
Even
the wanting to build wells and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, which is like obviously the most
Mm-hmm.
Christian thing you can be is like, yeah, let's feed the hungry and build water wells and
Yeah.
or dig wells or whatever, and and Kirk Cameron's like, no, that's all wrong. Presents and Santa Claus is what Christmas is all about. It's like, what? It's like what are you talking about?
Basically, that's what the movie tells you later.
I mean, yeah, but then he works it around to make
Yeah,
it seem like
into his, into his stories that are as fake as the hot chocolate, and
and probably the fire. No, the fire looked real.
yeah. So we have so we've got him starting out with his first flashback story to Christian history, like through the Bible or other things. He starts out this so the other thing that bothers me is the use of the word pagan.
Yeah,
because it's just people that aren't Christian.
That's what it is. Like anyone,
yeah.
like, oh, it's like, well, no, not necessarily. Pagan actually has like a specific meaning.
Yeah, but that's like, the way they're implying it is like it's just so.
Well, the way they're implying it is that pagan equals bad.
Yeah.
And the way that Kirk Cameron. Anyway, go ahead. What you talk about his first.
Oh yeah, so his first thing he's talking about how. First they talk about this snow globe that they have that is the only representation of Jesus, like in the room where it's got the nativity scene inside of it, and so we talk about the nativity scene, and he recites the story of the nativity, and then we cut. Okay, so first off we we kind of go into this thing where he talks about how there's like he says take away Joseph from the nativity scene, take away Mary, now even take away baby Jesus. What do we have? And he talks about the swaddling cloth and how he's basically implying later that the swaddling cloth is the same cloth that wiped down Jesus, when he died.
Because he was still as tall as a baby at that time, I guess.
That's how it happens.
He was like a 1 foot tall prophet.
Yeah, they shouldn't have had Jim Caviezel play him in The Passion of the Christ. It should have been, like Vern Troyer or something. But I don't know.
Wow.
So we've got so basically he talks about the three wise men and how they brought frankincense and myrrh. Doesn't mention the gold at all.
Right.
And says that they used to treat dead bodies in a form of primitive embalming with these things, which is completely historically inaccurate.
Yeah, I didn't even look that part up. I was like, really? Are those funeral spices? I don't know.
No, they're not. They were just actually the most expensive spices of the time. That's why they were given to Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah, evangelical lies.
So yeah, that was all made up. But we cut during some point in this, I can't remember exactly when, to our friend Diondre and this other character played by Raphi Henly, who is just credited as conspiracy theorist.
Okay.
And so they're sitting down on this couch. This has nothing to do with the rest of the movie, by the way.
No, it's just random.
Yeah, and they talk about how they got to hide their mouths for the conspiracy theories because I guess people can't hear if you put your mugs in front of your mouth,
and apparently the house is being bugged by like the feds or something. Like, it's like, okay,
or bear with me here. I think I know why they put them in front of their mouths.
Well, I know why, but go ahead.
Because they couldn't memorize their dialogue and they just had to dub it in later.
Yeah, because it sounded louder than everything else.
Yes,
and it was. Yeah, no, I heard that. I was like, this is obviously dubbed.
Yeah. And it was, but so they're hiding their their mouths and talking about chemtrails and and the War on Christmas, and what other like random the moon landing and all these other conspiracy theories.
He mentioned the New World Order,
Area 51, and how that's actually there's Area 52 you got to worry about because that's where they put all the Christmas decorations or something. And yeah,
and he said heard it on Fox News. So like what I was trying to figure out was, were they making fun of people who believe this, or were they like actually endorsing these ideas?
That's where I think this was supposed to be some kind of comic relief scene where they were making fun of crazy conspiracy theories.
But they believe in some of these conspiracy
exactly.
theories,
so that's where it got confusing. But I don't know if they. No, the thing is maybe Kirk doesn't believe in these conspiracies, but other ones. So it's like.
Maybe he doesn't believe like in the New World Order stuff, but he definitely believes in the War on Christmas conspiracy theory. Yeah, it was weird.
I mean, we get the end of that scene later in the credits, where they say what we got to do now is then have Kirk Cameron save the day, and then they do a freestyle rap about it.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell. And again, I'm not trying to like disparage the actor who played Diondre, but like I couldn't tell if he was like agreeing with the guy or if he just felt like really uncomfortable, because like at first it sounded like he was like, "Oh shit!" Like I'm in a conversation with the conspiracy theorist.
It seemed like when like, oh, I kind of believe in this sort of conspiracy, but oh no, there's this other guy that's just like way off the deep end.
But I couldn't tell, but it seemed like he switched between agreeing and being like, "Whoa," like and it was just again maybe bad acting, or I mean not to disparage him, but I don't know. And then
well, I mean, it like I said, it did seem like one of those conversations, like say you start out a conversation and somebody's like, even if it's something innocuous, like, oh, I really like, Foo Fighters, and then they start to go into like this long diatribe about the Foo Fighters, and you're just kind of stuck in this conversation where it's just like, yeah, I kind of like that one Foo Fighters song, and that's all I really like, but I'm kind of just stuck here,
right?
That sort of thing, yeah. But where somebody's like really into it, and that's what the conspiracy theorists played by Raphi, was saying, so yeah, they got that, and then we cut back to Christian and Kirk in the car. That's what the name of the movie should have been.
Christian and Kirk, yeah, that could be like the Christian rock band too,
yeah,
or also too, I wanted to make a point really quick. I just remembered in one of the opening credits out of the three, was that they were playing like this like ska version of what song was it? O Come was Manuel, or what's it called? O Come
All Ye Faithful.
Was that the one?
I don't know. It might have been.
But like that's the thing too. I noticed that like Christian conservatives are really good at is like appropriating like various styles of music and stuff, and then like imposing their own like religious stuff to it. And so like the song was actually pretty cool, so I was like, oh, this might actually be a good movie. And then no, and then it turned out and it wasn't. And then it kind of tricked me a little bit, but
yeah, they do that.
yeah.
But that might be a conspiracy theory. I don't know.
Well, that could be, yeah.
But no, I mean, you can't tell right now, but I'm holding a mug above my face, so you can, why I'm saying that. So it's okay to say. Yeah.
I can hear you. So
I put the microphone behind the mug, so it's like,
okay.
Yeah.
So that means that you're safe. That,
yeah. Nobody can hear it except for the people listening to our podcast.
The empty mug. Oh, by the way, too, that also reminded me. So there actually was one scene where Kirk Cameron actually was giving real hot chocolate to the kids, and it was like, why couldn't you just drink real hot? Or maybe he doesn't like hot chocolate. I don't know. And then
I think those scenes were shot on different days too. So
probably were. I don't know. And he's like, yeah. I'm the hot chocolate guy, or I don't know. He probably didn't say that, but like, and he's like, I don't know. And it was just weird. And
they should have made Diondre, because his name in real life is Chocolate Knox.
That would have been actually, that would have been a lot better. But anyway, So yeah, the story. What were you going on? But you're saying about the story.
Okay, so we go back to the car, And so they okay, we've got this whole thing, and he basically starts to talk about the Christmas trees is the next thing that Christian is asking him about. Like, what do they have to do with anything? Those are all, pagan things and blah blah blah, and they're not biblical in origin. And then Kirk tells him a story that the Christmas trees were God's idea since God created trees. And he also says that each tree represents a Christian cross. He encourages us, the viewer, to look at it this way, where every time they see a Christmas tree, that, he talks about how Adam, when God created Earth, Earth, which is his house, he put trees in it with fruit on it.
Yeah.
Like the ornaments on a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
And that when Adam ate from the tree, that when you, quote unquote, steal something, you have to put it back. That's not the definition of stealing. That's borrowing.
Yeah, you get punished if you steal something.
Yeah, but if you put it back, you're not stealing. You're borrowing. Like, if I take my neighbor's lawnmower and bring it back to his garage, maybe I stole it for a couple hours.
Well, technically, it is stealing if you didn't get permission.
But yeah, you are. But when you return it, is it still theft? But also, the thing is most people, when they steal something, like, when you rob a bank, you don't have to return it. But he says you have to.
Yeah.
But I mean, their quote is that, when you steal something, you have to return it, which
it's a weird story.
Yeah,
he's trying, and he's doing Christian historical revisionism. Here's what he's
doing it really well. I mean, I'll give him that. But he says that, he took that fruit, and so the fruit is now inside of him. Mm-hmm. So it's now part of him. But he has to give it back to the tree. So with Jesus being the last Adam, he gave the fruit back to the tree by putting himself on the tree, which was the cross.
Yes.
And so that's why we have Christmas trees.
Yeah, and I even wrote, that's like such a bizarre, and that's what I meant too about Liberty University signing off on very unorthodox interpretation of the Bible.
I've never heard that.
That's no, but I don't think, I don't follow, a lot of preachers or whatever, but I'm willing to bet some amount of money that's very unorthodox interpretation of like how to work in. Because again, it's one of these things, and I noticed this with a lot of fundamentalist religious people, not just Christians, but anyone, where they always have to justify everything they do, even if it's like secular, by saying, well, actually, no, it actually comes from our religion, and that's what allows us to do it, even if you have to. And what I wrote too is they have to pull a Christian hamstring by. I'm off all the dad jokes here, but I said instead of simply acknowledging that a lot of their Christmas traditions originated from Norwegian and Germanic paganism, they have to pull a Christian hamstring by stretching their interpretation to make it sound like all of it came from the Bible, and it was just a coincidence that pagans had those same traditions. Which that would be the coincidence of all coincidences, right there. Like,
but which is really weird because like he talks about this like there's nothing wrong with admitting the fact that some of these traditions were carried over from one group and then gathered new meaning when they became Christian. There's nothing wrong with that. And he even said, but he even says in the movie that we need to start telling new stories to our children, and,
right?
And accepting new ways of doing things. And I'm just like, but your whole movie was trying to explain and tie these things back to the Bible when there's nothing wrong with, embracing traditions from one group of people and then tying them in afterwards into your religion. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's not, but to them it is, and that's the whole problem, is that they're so focused on biblical literalism, well, not even literalism, just having everything, because obviously none of this is literal, but making everything go back to the Bible, or at least the original founders of the religions, or their first followers. And and I noticed this before. Again, it's like it's this, because again, it's like it's almost like they're going out of their way to like be as intolerant of other people as possible, because in actuality, I actually think this was like one of the better things that the early Christians did when they actually went out of like Israel, Palestine, into like other parts of the world, because they're like, hey, this might actually help ease these people into Christianity if we adopt some of these practices and we just sort of give them new meaning. To me, that actually shows like at least some element of tolerance, instead of just being like, no, like we're just gonna get rid of all of your traditions, and now you. But like Kirk Cameron's like, no, that's bad. So we have to like make it out like all of this really secretly originates from the Bible, but you got to like have like the secret code to interpret it in such a weird way. It's like, again, like
it's like he's conflicted by his own beliefs, which doesn't.
That's what it sounds like. It does. He wants to have his Christmas turkey and eat it too, and he's pulling a Christmas hamstring by doing so. Yep, I'm going all in on the dad jokes here.
I think the name of your next album should be "Pulling a Christmas Hamstring."
It should be, and the band's going to be called Christian and Kirk in the car, or whatever.
Oh, jeez.
Well, that's one of their songs. Oh, geez. Wow.
So, another thing that he ties in, I mean, this is like probably later, but I just find funny, is he tries to tie the Nutcracker dolls around that are near the nativity sets to represent Herod's soldiers during the massacre of the innocents.
It's like, wait a minute, but the Nutcrackers aren't they good guys in the Nutcracker story?
Yes.
So it's like, wait, so Herod's soldiers murdering babies and then trying to murder Jesus are the good guys now. Like, what are you talking about, dude? Maybe this is the real conspiracy. Now, hear me out. So we got the conspiracy theory guy talking about the New World Order and war on Christmas. What if? And again, I'm just hamstringing here. Christmas hamstringing here. Is what if Kirk Cameron this whole time has been almost like a sleeper agent who's been pretending to be a evangelical Christian, and he's seeping in all of these anti-Christian ideas in order to destroy Christianity from within? That would be like a long con, right? But or a long conservative rather. And then sorry.
Oh boy.
I don't know.
I doubt it.
I know it's not true.
I know. We can hope. Anyway, so the
wow.
Anyways, Christian is easily convinced by all these things too, which I think is hilarious.
Of course.
Like no pushback at all from Christian. He's like, "Oh, I never saw it that way. I feel stupid."
That's how that works. Yeah. That's how that works. Like when you're really adamant about your beliefs and you're like sulking in your car and you're just like looking at all the people in the house with like just seething rage, and then someone just, by the way, I forgot to mention this, Kirk Cameron just uninvitedly just gets in his car without even asking. So that's like rude, but okay. And then and then just starts talking to him, and then and then all of a sudden he tells a story, and the guy's like, oh, that belief I had is now gone. I've converted over to this new story that you told, but and now I got a new problem that's instantly going to go away once you tell me the new story, which I gotta love. I just gotta tell you, that story about Adam, like that's got to be like the weirdest stretch I've ever heard in my life.
Me too.
That God created trees, and then the cross was made of wood, and since Adam ate fruit that he wasn't supposed to eat, the only way he could put it back was to put himself back on the tree. But since Adam's the first Adam, and Jesus is the last Adam, then Jesus has to do what Adam couldn't or wouldn't do. But again, Jesus didn't eat the fruit though. So even if he's the last Adam, the fruit's not in his body.
No.
So putting himself on the cross wouldn't really do anything because Adam had already digested and probably shit out the fruit centuries ago. Not to be crass, but whatever.
It's a big stretch, and I'm somebody who wrote a 10-page paper in college comparing the New Testament of the Bible to the Shawshank Redemption.
Well,
and got an A+ on it, but still.
There you go. But that was like the biggest story right there. That was like the most stretched one out that I was like, wow. Like, and then like he's like, yeah, the Christmas tree is the pine, because again, pine tree makes sense because it's an everlasting tree. Its leaves never fall throughout the year, so that makes sense because you're talking about everlasting life.
Yeah, that's an easy way to
ease the quote unquote pagans, which everyone's a pagan who's not a Christian to them, I guess. But whatever, to ease the non-Christians who worshipped quote false gods, which who are they to say who's a false god and who isn't? But whatever. Yeah. And by the way, if you really want to get into real history here, not the fake revisionist history that Kirk Cameron's talking about in the car that he was not invited to come into. Anyway, at someone else's house, and
sorry, are you telling me that Kirk Cameron is much like a vampire where he has to be invited in? Or
kind of, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Just checking. Yeah.
And he and he sorry, I lost my train of thought here, but like it's like shit, I forgot what I was saying about the pine trees.
Oh yeah.
And, so like real history here, actual like proven like academic, like actual factual like history is that Judaism did not start off completely pure monotheistic. It was, I forgot the word for it, but it's like a sort of middle ground between polytheism and monotheism. Where, like, for example, when they always referred to God as the Most High God, they meant that literally at that time. So they believed that other gods existed, but that their God was the quote Most High God. Yeah, which meant that if there ever was like a competition between the gods, he would win. But they still believed those other gods existed. They just didn't worship them or like them. Yeah. So if you want to get into real history, that's real biblical history right there. But no matter.
Well, I mean, there is a belief like that even in modern Christianity with the idea of Satan, because I mean, he's considered to be a archangel who they don't worship, but also people that they believe worship him or that do consider him a god. So it's
called the Lord of this world, I think, in the Bible actually. So Satan is the Lord of this world, and God's the Lord of everyone, including the Lord of this world. It gets all confusing. And
but that brings up one of the next points here in this movie.
Oh God, yes.
So
give it to me. Yes.
Christian going off on his little thing, he talks about the fact that Santa is an anagram for Satan.
Because you switch the letters around, yeah.
Yep. And you know what an anagram for God is?
Is dog, I guess.
Yeah, so that doesn't mean anything. I'm just saying it makes as much sense. So
dog or Adga or Agdi or Adga, yeah. Which of course God itself is actually a German word. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But
what do you call it? A dyslexic agnostic?
I don't know what.
It's someone who's not sure whether there is or is not a dog.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's
so,
it's a Christian dad joke.
Yes, it is. I pulled a Christmas hamstring. Anyway, so So anyways, he's trying to basically say, what's up with Santa? Like, why are people like basically worshiping Santa instead of Jesus, now or whatever? And
which nobody does. Nobody worships Santa.
No. And so then Kirk has to tell the story of Saint Nicholas.
Yeah.
Which includes this reenactment where we have Uncle Bill, who was playing Santa at the party, playing Saint Nicholas, and then we have like other people from the party, like the two conspiracy theorist guys, playing other people at the Council of Nicaea.
Which took place in a tavern.
Yeah, he changed things up. He's like, we're gonna change this. If we really told the story, there'd be people in robes and pointy hats, and but this is gonna be all like Lord of the Rings like, and it wasn't Lord of the Rings like after that moment.
Yeah.
I mean, the one combination that they had is it was, the one thing actually that this had going for it is there were more black people in the scene than in the Lord of the Rings movies. But
yeah, true.
Yeah.
There was at least that historical accuracy going for once.
So
black bishops from Africa and all this shit.
Yeah. And, but we have the scene where Saint Nicholas goes and because there was like this this story supposedly like this guy who, according to Cameron, was a bishop there, but he actually wasn't a bishop in real life. But another lie in the movie. But anyway, so was spreading rumors around that we shouldn't worship Jesus is a deity. He should just be another man or whatever. And
which is not what Arius taught. I got screenshots about that. Anyway.
Yeah. And so
another lie.
Yeah, Arius wasn't a bishop either. So yeah, and the
he was just like a preacher.
Yeah.
A scholar.
Yeah. So he goes in and he basically beats Arius's ass.
Which is great. So we're glorifying religious violence now, which tracks with liberty and liberty.
Yeah,
because that's how they view, how to solve conflicts is through violence. Anyway,
we have this one random scene where Saint Nicholas is like, Arnold Schwarzenegger in an '80s action film or something. It's just like, or Jean-Claude Van Damme-ing it or something.
Well,
it's like, what the hell?
So what's interesting about this, and I'm sorry if I'm like getting too giddy about this because
go ahead.
This is my wheelhouse. I love reading about religious history. So. And I love contradicting evangelical Christians because it's like a favorite pastime of mine because they're so stupid and they contradict themselves constantly. Anyway, so he's like, so again, Arius was a Christian scholar. I got to emphasize that, a scholar of Christianity.
Yeah.
Which means he's read the Bible probably multiple times over, or at least because back then they had like manuscripts and it wasn't like the full Bible that we have now, but he traveled the world to probably gather as many manuscripts as he could, and then studied those probably multiple times over, probably memorized much of it verbatim so he can just recite it at will. He studied theology, so this is the guy who knew his stuff, and he merely, apparently according to Cameron, was bad to have a different interpretation about Jesus than some of the other people which made him a heretic, and that warranted Saint Nicholas to viciously beat him. And then, but the phrase he used, which I thought, again, Kirk Cameron being a moron, the moron that he is, he makes it sound, well, he makes it sound like the bad guys are the good guys, but then he uses phrases that like the good guys would actually do, but they're actually the bad guys. So he says, so the scene is Saint Nicholas has his cane that he carries with him, which I'm guessing that's where the candy canes come from. I don't know. And then they didn't say that.
Actually, candy canes are supposedly to mimic the shepherds that And
Oh,
yeah. So, anyways, but we'll
that might be it. And then
Yeah.
because he was a shepherd, and he said that
that's...
he inherited a bunch of money from his parents when he died, but then he didn't keep it for himself, and he gave it away to the poor. So okay, that's cool. And but then he's like all like sulky. He's like got dirt on his face, and there's this girl like outside the barn, and she's like, "Sir," and he's like, "Go away." And by the way, they showed this part in the beginning of the movie too, but just that part. And then
which made no sense.
It made no sense. He's like, "He's here," and he's like, "He is." He's like, "Where?" He's like, "In the tavern, sir." And he's like, "Grab my coat." And then like so, Arius is like, talking to some people, and he's charismatic, and he's like convincing them of his ideas. And then St. Nicholas comes, and he slams his cane on the table, and Arius is like so afraid because St. Nicholas is so strong and burly and and then all he does is he just quotes the beginning of the book of John, and he's like, "In the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God." And then like Kirk Cameron's like, "And he put Arius to shame, but not only that, he smited him on his cheek." And it's like, wait a minute, but Jesus says, if someone smites you on the cheek, turn the other cheek.
Exactly.
So Arius is now the good guy in the story because he's not fighting back, but then you're portraying him as the bad guy in the story, and Nicholas is the good guy.
And you're portraying Nicholas as going like all like medieval on his ass, but
like berserk.
But
he's
not. But all he did was slap him, and
even so, that's
still not good.
People,
and it's interesting that the guy that plays Arius is also the guy that plays the conspiracy theorist.
See, I thought it looked like it was him. I couldn't
tell.
So
it's interesting that they cast the same character as a conspiracy theorist and a supposed conspiracy theorist from back then. So
the heretic back then.
Yeah.
So it's
interesting.
Yeah,
they're kind of trying to tie the two into each other, which I guess is actually kind of clever on their part.
It was a little.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give him that much. But what's interesting about that, though, is that and then Kirk Cameron also says these were devastating. No, these were desperate times where truth was on the line, and they couldn't be polite in the name of political correctness. So savagely beating someone who disagrees with you means that you're not submitting to political correctness.
They're just basically implying that because of modern times too. They feel like that should be done. So yeah.
Well, that's what they're saying. They're basically saying if you're Christian, you should kill or beat people who disagree with you. That's what the movie's saying.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's great. I mean, so I was wondering at first. I was like, why is Liberty University signing off on this unorthodox interpretation? I'm like, well, that's why. It's because they're saying kill and beat non-Christians or heretics. So it tracks. But anyway, so here's Arius.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead.
I want to talk a little bit about Arius here. Not a whole lot, but
go ahead.
Because so they totally for one thing, most of the teachings of Arius actually are more in line with what Jesus himself actually said in the Bible, not what Paul or other people said about Jesus, but that's a whole other matter.
Yeah.
Because there's multiple quotes from the Bible itself where Jesus actually specifically says that the Father is greater than I. Well, okay. So if that's the case, then why is it wrong for Arius to essentially teach the same thing? But that's okay. A whole other matter. But so it says here, in the Arian view, God the Father is a deity and is divine, and the Son of God is not a deity but divine. So Kirk Cameron was saying that, he just wants to turn Jesus into a mere mortal man. Well, that's not what it says. It says, I, the Lord, quote, am deity alone. That's from Isaiah, chapter 49, verse 9. It says, God the Father sent Jesus to earth for salvation of mankind. Oasia is essence or being in Eastern Christianity and is the aspect of God that is completely incomprehensible to mankind and human perception. It is all that subsists by itself and which has not its being in another. God the Father and God the Son and God the Holy Spirit, all being uncreated. According to the teaching of Arius, the pre-existent Logos, or the Word, and thus the incarnate Jesus Christ was a begotten being only the Son was directly begotten by God the Father before ages, but was of a distinct, though similar, essence or substance from the Creator. His opponents argued that this would make Jesus less than God, which Jesus himself said that he was. Anyway, and that this was heretical. Much of the distinction between the differing factions was over the phrasing that Christ expressed in the New Testament to express submission to God the Father. So they're saying that. The theological term for this submission is kenosis. This ecumenical council declared that Jesus Christ was true God, co-eternal, and consubstantial, i.e., of the same substance with God the Father. So basically, I have a bunch of screenshots. But basically, Arius it said that Jesus is the Savior, that that salvation comes through Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And he merely said that Jesus is just not God himself. But that apparently was just such a controversial thing that they made it out like he. And plus, too, so interesting enough, most of Arius's writings don't exist anymore, conveniently, because they probably burned them or destroyed them in other fashion. So most of what we get about Arius's teachings are people who were opposed to Arius talking about his teachings. Well, so I've read lots of Baha'i books, and I've read lots of books written by people who are against Baha'is. Who do you think I'm going to trust on the actual Baha'i teachings? Books written by Baha'is, or books written by the Baha'i founders, or books written by detractors of the Baha'i faith? I mean, come on.
No.
Or any
what you need is to go sit in your car and wait for Kirk Cameron to come and
wait. You gotta wait for Kirk Cameron. And here's one quote from Arius. I swear to God, it's just the last one. It says, a letter from Arius to the Arian Eusebius, I'm not sure what that means, states the core beliefs of the Arians, and by Arian we don't mean like the Arian race. It says some of them say that the Son is an eructation. I'm not sure what that means. Others that he is a production. Others that he is also unbegotten. These are impieties to which we cannot listen. So even he is saying the other people are heretics. So they're calling him a heretic. He's calling them heretics, which tracks. These are impieties to which we cannot listen, even though the heretics threaten us with 1,000 deaths or murders. But we say and believe and have taught and do teach that the Son is not unbegotten, nor in any way part of the unbegotten, and that he does not derive his subsistence from any matter, but that by his own will and counsel he has subsisted before time and before ages as perfect as God, only begotten and unchangeable, and that before he was begotten or created or purposed or established, he was not, for he was not unbegotten. We are persecuted because we say that the Son has a beginning, but that God is without beginning. So literally the only difference between Arius and the other Christian, what became the main creed, is that he was saying that Jesus at one point did not exist and that he was created. But once he was created, he was effectively like God. And that was like the biggest controversy of all time. But again, this is how these people think.
So that's why they used that quote specifically that St. Nicholas says in the movie.
Yeah, but again, it's just like, what difference does it make? Like, just from a utilitarian perspective, to say,
well, it's the same thing.
Jesus was what's that?
It's the same argument for the whole like Christmas tree and everything too that they're having here, because it's like things couldn't have been just created at one point. They have to have always existed.
But it makes no difference as far as, again, like, I understand what you're saying and what they're saying, but again, just from a utilitarian perspective, it makes no difference, because if Jesus is your salvation, and that's where your salvation comes from, what difference does it make if at one point in time he did not exist and that God created him, and then it's like you're still getting the same effects, if you will, or like whatever. Like, it doesn't matter from any perspective other than just, again, like being so pure doctrinally that you have to have everything perfect. It doesn't make any actual material difference to say, oh, God actually created Jesus, and then after that point in time, he, you know, basically became God on Earth. I mean, whatever.
No,
but
it's like
apparently, the Kirk Cameron, that was enough to get savagely beaten by Santa Claus. So
I mean, Truth is more like this movie as opposed to Citizen Kane. One is kind of perfect, and one is this. So
anyway, that's all I gotta say about Arius.
So back to the movie here. We've got after this, you know, and Christian finds out that Santa is, you know, kick-ass. He's reassured that, you know, Christmas is cool and all. And so he returns to the party. He does like a belly flop into the presents, and then later on he goes to talk to his wife and apologize for being whatever, you know, for having feelings.
Exactly, for not liking materialist Christmas.
Yeah, and then what does she say to him? It's like I got something else for you, and she's like something like, "What do you got for me, Big Papa?" Which was the most awkward line I have ever heard in a film in my life.
Got turned into like a pornography film.
That's what I was thinking at that. And then he's like, and then he's like, his gift to her was that he organized a hip hop dance to symbolize his love of Christmas.
But how did he do this? Because he came straight out of the car.
Exactly. Where did he do it?
And like, how did he get the time to make calls and okay.
Did they go off and rehearse, like, you know, in time past, and this isn't, I don't know. But anyways, maybe
Kirk Cameron's got a time machine and was able, maybe that's how he knows all these stories, because he was there.
Oh yeah. So I trust him then. Anyway, so maybe he see the thing is like, you know, back when he was popular, also Family Ties was also popular, so maybe he was hanging out with Michael J. Fox, and then he got him into the DeLorean, and then he time traveled. Okay. Anyway, so
yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes as much sense as anything in this movie. But so we get this breakdance scene, which lasts like over 4 minutes.
It was ridiculously long.
Yeah, and then so then that ends, and Cameron tells everyone it's time to feast. And then he suggests that the audience organize the best dinner possible for Christmas, but to not forget that it's a celebration of God.
So we're supposed to like eat with the characters in the movie?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's like a weird, like almost like a watch party before that was even like a thing. But you're not actually doing a watch party because they're characters in the movie, not like your friends or whatever. But okay. So, but wait a minute. If they all saw this in the movie theater, were they supposed to like take like turkey legs in the theater and eat it?
No, I don't think they meant like right then. I think they meant go home and eat. Yeah.
That would be weird.
So then we have like weird like outtakes, and then we have a freestyle rap at the end.
Oh my God. For like 9 minutes.
Yeah.
9 minutes. Okay. Marvel movies don't even have 9-minute long end credits. Maybe
scenes,
5 minutes, but
yeah, don't give them any ideas to make this a cinematic universe here.
Oh God, the Kirk Cameron the Saving Christmas cinematic universe.
Like Saving Easter is going to be this next one. And
that's the weird thing too. Okay, about that though. So that's a Christian should have actually made that point, but again, they weren't clever enough to do this. But like in actuality, Easter is actually the more important Christian holiday from the religious perspective, because that's when Jesus died on the cross and supposedly saved all of mankind's sins. But the most popular holiday is his birth. It's like weird, but whatever. He could have made that point, because like nobody gives, like hardly anyone gives Easter presents. I mean, maybe candy and stuff, but like it's not like I gotta go Easter shopping a month before, so I gotta make sure I got my Easter presents bought. No one says that.
I do
anyway.
every year. Oh wait,
Well,
no,
okay.
no, but no. The so before we wrap things up here, because we're running kind of late here, but
yeah, we are.
Here's a couple trivia things here for this movie. So shortly after the film's release, it was it had a 0 rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It still currently has a 0 rating. It was voted the worst movie on IMDb. But anyways, Kirk Cameron went online and he said sent out a message to his fans. It says, if 2,000 of you out of the 2 million on this page take a minute to rate Saving Christmas, it will give the film a huge boost, and more will see it as a result. So basically, he was trying to juice the numbers.
Interesting. So that's like
and it still did nothing.
And that's my point from earlier, though, is like how the reason why they made their money back is because all the people who saw the movie were probably evangelical Christians, to make sure that the movie made a profit. So, which that's not cheating necessarily, but that's kind of what you're doing is like you're trying to, which again, there's nothing like illegal about that. But
and then he went on to blame the negative reaction on haters, pagans, and atheists.
See, there it is. Yeah, the pagans. So if you don't like this shitty movie, that is just like a total piece of crap.
And then he claimed that there was an atheist conspiracy to ruin the film that was allegedly hatched on Reddit.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What a fucking... I hate this guy. I almost... No, I'm not going to say it. But I don't want to get in trouble. But,
so his explanation as to why the wise men gave frankincense and myrrh is not supported by historians or religious scholars. The most common explanation is that they were valuable at the time and place.
Well, that's the thing. Liberty University, though, doesn't care about history. Because to them...
No.
To them, the academic study of religion is bad because it's run by non-Christians or secularists, which is not even true, because some of these scholars are actually Christians themselves. But whatever, they don't call them Bible-believing Christians. That's one of their phrases. Is when they say we are Bible-believing Christians, what they mean is that other Christians are not Bible-believing Christians. And what they mean by that is that they just don't believe in their same interpretation.
Exactly.
So that's what they... So, these are code words that they use. And they're not very clever, but they think they're clever because they're stupid. But anyway, so I did write a little bit thing here too, because that set me off.
No, go ahead.
Atheists and pagans, because nobody liked this shitty movie. It's like, no, it's because your movie sucks. I'm sorry to say. Actually, I'm not sorry to say, but it's just bad. Just get over it. You've been a hack since you left Growing Pains like 32 years ago, or however long it was. You've been in there was another movie I saw of him that was so terrible. It wasn't the Christian movie, but it was like he was like about some kid who was like a hacker who called himself like Viper or something like that. And it was just like I don't even remember it, but it was like it was one of those low budget shitty movies that's all he could do anymore because he wasn't popular anymore. But anyway, it did so. You want to talk about this conservative Christian persecution complex they got. So I did some research, history, modern history, stuff that I kind of forgot about because it's like 10 years old or whatever. But I remember distinctly 10, well, maybe more like 12, or actually maybe even like 14 years ago, actually, how conservative Christians made a huge deal about how in Dearborn, Michigan, which is a majority Muslim population, got to repeat that, majority of people who live there are Muslims, that they were playing the Muslim call to prayer from a speaker at one of the local mosques, and how they were like saying this is the downfall of Western Christian civilization because Muslims are forcing their religious beliefs onto other people, even though the majority of people who live in Dearborn are Muslims. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I live close to a Lutheran church, and they do a church bell every single hour. And one could say, well, that's just because they're telling time. Really? Most of us have cell phones, or at the very least, watches that can tell us the time. We don't need a church bell to tell us what the time is. And historically, the church bell was used, among other things, as well as if like invaders came, they would use the bell to let people know, oh shit, we're being invaded. But like it was used to let Christians know that it was time to pray, because before modern times, church wasn't just like a Sunday morning affair. It was like multiple times a day you would pray, and especially Catholics, which was called Vespers. So the bell was like letting people know, like, oh, it's time to stop working for like 15 minutes or whatever to say our prayers. So technically, when a church bell rings, you could make the argument that, oh well, while they might not be using that to tell people it's time to pray anymore, historically that is what it was used for. So technically, Christians are forcing their religious beliefs onto non-Christians, but that's okay, because again, it's not about freedom. It's not about Christians being persecuted. It's in their minds, when they say persecution, what they really mean is other people exist that are not Christians, and we don't like that.
Yeah,
that's what it means. I mean, I'm not being political. That's factual. That's what they believe.
Mm-hmm.
And if you actually talk to them and they're honest with you without cameras, they will tell you that's actually what they mean by that. They're like, yes, we don't want Muslims. We don't want to share holidays, which is weird because Christmas, again, because Kirk Cameron contradicts his movie the entire way through. Christmas is all about sharing and being more generous and compassionate to people, which is why we shouldn't share this time with other religious holidays so that they can do their holidays too. Wait, but I thought it was about sharing.
Or we shouldn't help, other less fortunate people. We should just have a big feast in our house that has 2 huge refrigerators.
Exactly, yeah. So as usual with conservative Christians, especially of the Kirk Cameron likes, what they mean by a quote war on Christmas is that they don't like the fact that other people exist and have to share their holiday time with others. God forbid that a holiday that is all about sharing would have to share time with others. Talk about being the Scrooge or Grinch.
Yeah.
Just saying. Sorry, this movie triggered me in so many ways.
It's okay. Well, because
it's so stupid, and yeah.
I was gonna say we have a podcast that's longer than the movie, and
well, the movie itself is only 45 minutes long if you actually take away the random scenes that have nothing to do with it.
But so, anyways, hopefully the next episode we'll find a less controversial Christmas film to talk about that still is enjoyable to watch, and we will love as much as Kirk Cameron's Saving Christmas.
Well, I hope we'll love it more than than the Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas.
Kirk Cameron Saving Christmas, the Birdemic of Christmas movies.
The Birdemic. Why? Yeah. The tagline. Why did the pagans attacked? Or something like that, or
yes.
Whatever.
Oh gosh.
Oh man.
Anyways, I think we should wrap things up here. And,
wrap it up.
Yeah. Make sure you check us out on all of our social media that we have at this moment, and be kind to each other. Actually be kind to each other.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, and share the show with your friends. That's a good gift you can give this holiday season.
Not the movie. The movie.
No, not the movie. Just share this episode.
Yeah.
And 'tis the season to be jolly. Fa la 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 la.
Allah.
Yeah. Yes. And oops. And remember that I love you and Sesame loves you. And until next time, folks, Merry Christmas and bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to All Too Real 2 podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.